Eeny, meeny, miny, moe. Catch a tiger by his toe. If you always let him go, eeny, meeny, miny, moe.
We're going with a happy bookmark because I need positive thoughts. A big shot, like walking around, walking across this parapet. Hello besties, welcome back to my channel. My name is Tori if you're new, and we are doing our episode 3 of reading my entire fiscal TBR before the end of the year challenge. We have the contestants up top here. We're gonna do the very precise, very prestigious, if you will, way of choosing books. We're gonna do eeny, meeny, miny, moe. To pick 2, maybe 3 books to read in this vlog. We'll see how it goes. I don't have a super set timeline for this vlog. We are gonna be, I mean, roughly a week, but if we want to finish a book, I'm fine extending it as well. So we're gonna get a lot of reading done. We're gonna get a lot of our physical TBR reading done. The reason why I'm doing eeny, meeny, miny, moe is because I am equally excited for honestly all of these books. Like, all of them are such solid choices that I can't pick one at this moment in time. I'm down for literally all of them. Also, I redid above this bookshelf area. It's not that I've replaced Chapel. We love Chapel. I just felt like the frame of that picture was very black and it didn't go with the vibe over here, so we have some cutie new additions. So cutie. Okay.
Eeny, meeny, miny, moe. Catch a tiger by the toe. If you always let him go, eeny, meeny, miny, moe. Eeny, meeny, miny, moe. Catch a tiger by his toe. If you always let him go, eeny, meeny, miny, moe.
We're gonna do one more, just for funsies. We're gonna start somewhere else.
Eeny, meeny, miny, moe. Catch a tiger by the toe. If you always let him go, eeny, meeny, miny,
moe. This is so stacked. Like, I can't even describe. Okay, so we have Air by Saba Tahir, one of my most anticipated of the year. We have our reread of Fourth Wing. We are rereading this for the Who Did This To You book club in November. If you'd like to join our read along for the Empyrean series in preparation for the 3rd book coming out, you can join. It's linked down below always on Fable. So we have our reread of Fourth Wing. I will also link the vlog where I read this for the first time. This was a religious experience for me, and I'm so excited to reread it because knowing everything that we know now, like, it's gonna be a very different experience. Similar to like an ACOTAR. Like, when I reread ACOTAR after reading the whole series, it was so much fun to go back and do. And then this is very fantasy romance coded. And then we have Flame and Sparrow by S.M. Gaither. I'm not gonna lie, I was hoping to get one of the like smaller page length books. All of these are quite big books, but they're gonna be incredible. Now for which one to start with, I think I want to start with Air, because I've been like dying to get to this. The moment that I bought it, I wanted to take it home from the bookstore and just read her and show her love, but I didn't have the opportunity to do so. So I think that this needs to happen. Also, it's gonna be really emo. Like, I feel as though Saba Tahir is going to rip my heart out, stomp on it on the floor, and then laugh in my face. I was just sitting down to read, but I have to show you this guy. One of the most beautiful skies I've ever seen. I'm really trying to decide if I want to tab while we read, because I just feel like there's gonna be so much in this book. Undecided at this moment in time. I might take the first like 50 pages to decide whether we're tabbing. We're using this little cutie bookmark. We're going with a happy bookmark because I need positive thoughts. And then we're gonna take off this dust jacket. I got the, what is this, Barnes & Noble. Ooh, includes special content. I didn't know that. Do we have a bonus chapter? Oh, we have an interview with her. That's the bonus. Cute! Okay, so I got the Barnes & Noble edition, which is all light blue. So we have light blue here on the spine, all of that fun stuff. And then our map is blue as well. I also think for this read, I'm going to use Bookly. I used to use Bookly a lot, and then it kicked me out. It said I had to pay or I couldn't use it anymore because I hit my book like limit with the free version, but then I undownloaded it, re-downloaded it a couple months later, and I can use it for free again. I'm seriously debating paying for the subscription though, because when I was using Bookly, it was so helpful. It basically tracks your reading speed. You do like reading sessions, and so you start it and stop it for how long you're reading, and it will tell you how many pages you read per minute or whatever, and then it tells you how much longer it's going to take you to finish the book, which I really like. I don't know why that's quite motivating for me, and that I love when my Kindle tells me that as well. So we'll see. It's only 20 bucks a year. We might do it, but we're going to use the free version for right now. I'm really scared. We're going to read the first 50 pages, and then I'll check back in if we're going to annotate and on like first initial thoughts. I'm also curious to find out if you have to read an Ember in the Ashes series before you read this one, because they do take place in the same world. So I'll report back on that as well. Chapter 2, and we're getting so many Easter egg appearances from characters in the prior books. This part of the vlog is brought to you by Ana Luisa. Thank you so much, Ana Luisa, for sponsoring today's video. I have been ordering from Ana Luisa for years. I'm not exaggerating. I have really sensitive skin, and I know that this is a brand that isn't going to irritate me. I usually don't wear a lot of jewelry because I'm afraid that I'm going to get a reaction to it, or it's really uncomfortable, and I find that Ana Luisa has the most classic pieces that are hypoallergenic, water resistant if you're someone who loves to just leave your jewelry in all the time and shower with it, do whatever with it. I'm a gold hoop girly to my core. I was very lucky to receive these, which are a medium hoop size. They're called Julia Medium. I love them. They're super cute. I have some close-ups as well. I also received the mini huggy hoops. I also have close-ups of those. They're not super heavy either, so they don't pull on your ears. I love wearing the mini huggy so much. As someone who doesn't typically wear a lot of jewelry, I love the mini huggy when I want something so that my ears don't feel naked. I wear them to bar. If I'm listening to audiobooks and I have my headphones on, I have my mini huggies in because they aren't irritating. You like barely feel them. They just hug your little earlobe so perfectly. I've also slept in my mini huggies. I never ever sleep in jewelry, but those are ones that you barely feel like they're there. I'm just a comfort queen, and Ana Luisa does that for me. They're having the biggest sale of the year right now, where the more you buy, the more you save. I have a code in my description for up to 35% off if you would like to shop through it, linked in the description box below. It will be in the next couple of videos as well, and I just want to say a massive thank you to Ana Luisa again. This is a brand that I purchased and wore even before I was able to partner with them, so I'm very excited to be able to save you some coins during the holiday season, and hopefully you get something pretty for yourself and your loved ones. Back to Air breaking my heart. Besties, we have an update on Air. We are 140 pages in. I can confirm you definitely need to read the An Ember in the Ashes series before you pick up this one, because there are very key players in this that are connected to the main characters in that first series. It definitely takes place quite a few years apart. There starts to be this conflict, and there's people that are referenced that you'll just have no idea like what's going on if you weren't to read An Ember in the Ashes. Saba just gets better. Like with every single book that she puts out, she just gets better and better. I feel like I'm reliving my An Ember in the Ashes experience, which was wonderful and beautiful and heartbreaking in every way, shape, and form of those words. Like every chapter, because we're rotating through 3 perspectives, ends with you wanting to know more about that character, and then you rotate to another perspective and you want to know more about that character, and then you rotate, and There's so many cliffhangers. There has been so much action in this first 140 pages that I am shocked, but honestly not shocked because this book isn't very long. I feel like we have a lot to establish, a lot to do. She's establishing the conflict, like the main conflict, very quickly. I love stories where characters start off in very different places from very different walks of life, and then they all end up getting entangled and enmeshed in this story in a very collaborative way. And Sabaa Tahir is the, I won't say the queen, because there are many authors that do that and they do it very well, and that's why they're some of the most beloved authors of all time. But like, Sabaa is that for me. She is one of my favorites because she does that so freaking well. I'm obsessed. I'm already like really scared that it's gonna hurt and that it's gonna be painful. But having a wonderful time being back in this writing. I will say the first like 3 chapters I did have to read quite slowly because not coming fresh off of a reread, there were some references to things that were happening in characters where I was like, who was that again? Wait, what happened here? Stuff like that. It's been, I forget when I read the last book of the An Ember in the Ashes series. It had to have been in either 2021 or 2022. So it's been some time. But now that we are through that, I feel like I'm in a really good place with it to just like speed read. I also decided against annotating because I felt like it would just slow me down. And this is a story where I don't want to be stopped. Like, I just want to know what's happening. Sabaa is one of the authors where I have to read, if I'm reading like this and I'm reading what's on this page, I have to cover like what's happening over here so that I don't, actually I have to go like this too, like on the page, especially in the really tense moments that I know are going to come at the end of this book. I'm going to be reading like that so I don't spoil myself because I am a page jumper with my eyeballs. I just want to see like if we're in a perilous situation, I'm like, did they make it? Did they make it? Like what happens? And I don't want to do that with this. So very strong start to reading our physical TBR. Check in soon. We haven't read too much more since my last check-in. I'm on page 220. So like 60 more pages since we last spoke. So the goal today is to read. That is the only thing that we have on the priority for today. This morning, I got my blood drawn, which was so scary. We were so brave, and it was like so much. And then afterwards, the nurse was like, go get something to eat. And I was like, you bet your bottom dollar, I'm going to Dunkin' Donuts. We have our coffee, we have our amazing book. I'll do an update. Let's read like a little bit more, and then I'll do an update. Safe to say, I'm still loving this. This is definitely a 5-star prediction. I couldn't imagine that it wouldn't be a 5-star. And then I'm hoping that we can get started on another book today as well. Actually, hold on, let me grab one more book. I think next up after we finish Air is going to be Fourth Wing because I have been dying to get back into this book. However, I did want to mention, tomorrow we are driving to San Diego, which is quite a long drive. I have an audiobook already prepared for the long drive. It's not a book that we pulled from our Eeny, Meeny, Miny, Mo, but it's the only book that I could find the audiobook for on Libby, and that's Foundryside, which is also on our physical TBR. So we're getting a little extra bonus book in here. I think between all the driving that I have to do, I will be able to finish this audiobook this weekend. I don't know that I'll be able to do a lot of like other reading because I'm going to see Sabrina Carpenter, and I'm so excited to see her, to hang out with my bestie Sarah. So that's the plan. It was actually one of y'all that let me know. I was reading comments earlier today, and it was Emerald Sea Cup that said, Foundry Size, please, I encourage you, nay, implore you to read it with the audiobook. The narrator is absolutely fantastic and makes sure all the characters have a distinct voice. It feels like a TV show playing on audio. That's like the best endorsement I've ever heard. So that is the plan for this one, but back to the plan for today. Let's get our heart broken. We're now on page 302, so it's been about 150 pages since my last like full check-in. I'm trying to think of something else to say besides I'm literally obsessed with this. I am so impressed by Sabaa Tahir's way that she plays with time. I'm not going to say anything more than that because I don't want to spoil literally anything at all, but the way that she plays with time is so unexpected and amazing. I just love how in these books, but then also in the An Ember in the Ashes series, memories and stories of different people and their cultures, and also their stories of death and how their societies interact with death. It's just mind-blowing, like the way that she creates this whole flushed out world. And I think the beginning of this book, I had mentioned, it took me a little bit of extra time to spend in the pages to really get to learn where we are now in this world compared to where we were, because so much time has passed since Leia and Elias's story that you do have to relearn a little bit. Like, it's not as easy to fall into this world. And now we're getting, it's like their story was here and now we have zoomed out to experience even more of this world and different people. It's insane. Like, I had to go back to the map in the front and say, okay, where did the story take place in the An Ember in the Ashes series, and like where are we now in this world? Because so basically the An Ember in the Ashes series, this isn't spoilery at all, but just to give you some perspective, the An Ember in the Ashes series took place here, like in the Empire, and now we've zoomed out and we have all of this. But it doesn't feel overwhelming because obviously we had 4 books to like really establish all of that, and then you get like very quickly acquainted with where our characters are in the story in this one. Like, oh my gosh, it's just so good. And we see the interaction and the connection between the characters probably between like 30 and 50% of the story. And when you get the connection, you're like, I had literally just turned off my camera from doing the B-roll of me reading, and I got to this part where there was that connection and I literally jaw on the floor, could not even, such like a stomach dropping reveal moment where you're like, oh my gosh, this is so crazy. The heartbreaking aspects are no longer hidden. Like, we know that something is coming. We kind of know what that something is as well. It's just waiting to see it play out from what we've been told. I think that these books are going to be a duology, and that just makes me like terrified of where this is going to end. Like, if there's one thing that Sabaa does, it's leave us on a freaking cliffhanger. Yeah, it's gonna be a duology. Not that I need to spend this money, but I really want to get the new covers of the An Ember in the Ashes series because they were redone and their spines are beautiful. And I have the original paperbacks that are gorgeous. Also, the new paperback editions are also like floppy and beautiful. They're like the perfect paperbacks. They are just so freaking good. And now all I'm thinking about is getting the pink edition of this book and getting the new An Ember in the Ashes series. Honestly, we might go do it after I finish this book because I feel like I'm gonna be so heartbroken that I'm gonna want some retail therapy. Not like, these are YA books, there's not spice in these books, but oh my god, like, oh my god, the romance is so good. I'm so sad. I'm so scared. I'm so scared for what's to come, but it's so good. It's so good. It's so good. I love Quill. I love him. Your Honor, I love him. guess what we got? I told you it was gonna happen. We got, oh my gosh, the sun. We got our nails done. That was JMO's little nosy because he has to do sniffspection because I just got home. We did like a very light pink with like some sparklies in them for Sabrina Carpenter. And then I did get the new covers for the An Ember in the Ashes series. I had to, y'all. I literally had to. Look at how colorful they are, and then the spines are black, but they still have the color down below. An Ember in the Ashes. I'll show you the spines too when I put them on the shelves. JMO, stop sniffing my books. He's like licking them at this point. Torch Against the Night. Reaper at the Gates in the green, and A Sky Beyond the Storm. They're so pretty. The spines are so freaking cool when they're all together. My goal is to have like a Saba Tahir shelf on my bookshelves because I feel like that would be stunning. And I need her to come up with more books that tear my heart to pieces. I'm so ready to finish Air. I missed this book while I was out and about getting my nails done and stuff. The only other book that we got, not Saba Tahir related, is Spectacular by my other queen, Stephanie Garber. These are like the queens that got me into reading. How stunning is that, that we are just reading new books from them? They've taken so long to come out with new books. Rightfully so. I'm not going to yell at them about that, but seriously, like I need more of them all the time. We get back to reading. I feel like we're on the precipice of the heartbreak. So let's do it. Hello besties, we have finished her. No tears were shed, but I am in emotional distress and I do need the second book immediately. This is 5 stars. Highly recommend it. I think that Quill is one of my favorite characters that she's written. Like I love Elias and I love Helene from An Ember in the Ashes, but I love Quill. I love this man. And Saoirse, one of my favorite female main characters. I think that I like Saoirse. Well, I was in love with Leia in the first book. Like literally loved her so much. Leia? I forget what I used to call her. Leia? But like experiencing Saoirse as like one of our main perspectives, loved it. And then I also thoroughly enjoyed the enemy in this book. I hated them, literally hated them with every fiber of my being, but were they a good enemy? Yes. And the way that this ended, like, I need more information. I need to know what's happening. Such a massive cliffhanger. Was I expecting anything less? No. I'm so obsessed with this. Read this book. Read An Ember in the Ashes first if you haven't read it yet, or reread it because a reread would do you well going into this one. But read this book. Hi besties, we are in San Diego. We just finished our drive and I was listening to the audiobook for Foundry Side the whole way here. I don't know how I'm feeling about this book. We are, did I say this? We're 30% in. So this book we're following Sanchia Grotto. She's a thief girly and she got hired for this job to steal an artifact that has a lot of power. In this society, they have magically imbued objects that basically have sentience to a certain extent. Like, they talk about a lot of locks on doors and how the like magical locks are given very specific instructions. Like, only these people that have like this specific key can open this lock, or only unlock for people that have the key or enter the code between these times of day and stuff like that. And it's not just locks, it's other things, but where she's a thief, the locks and the doors and stuff like that, and the safes are like a big one. But she finds this object that has like actual sentience, and Sanchia has her own magical ability. She can sense the presence of like enchanted objects, but hers goes a little bit more than that. Like, she can put her hand to the floor of a building and then just get the entire map layout of the building. So she's a powerful girly pop, but it is painful for her to do that. She's also very isolated because like interacting and touching other people is also like painful for her and not like the most comfortable experience. And she accepts this deal to get this crazy artifact because the payout makes it very worth it. And she's hoping to kind of restart her life, which isn't fantastic right now. Once she has this item that is so powerful, it could rewrite the world itself. People start to hunt after her. I think that the concept is interesting. I think that the magic is interesting. I'm not sure if the writing style is really working for me as much as I would hope. This is a book that is almost a crossover between sci-fi and fantasy because of the magic system. And I think that's what is losing me a little bit, because there's so much explanation behind these magical enchanted items. It's like every chapter it rehashed some of that explanation, and then our characters don't have super strong personalities. Like, I don't have a problem with our characters. I do like Sanchia. I think that she's an interesting girl, but she doesn't have a lot of personality when you're reading about her, other than that she's a thief and she interacts with magical objects. Like, besides that, she's a pretty flat character. We have been introduced to an antagonist that I just don't find interesting at all. And so this was kind of a gamble for me. I'm not a super sci-fi girl, but I wanted to dabble and just try it. I would compare this writing style very closely to a Brandon Sanderson. A lot of this book reminded me of Warbreaker. I am questioning if I want to continue with this at the 30% mark, because it was making my 5-hour drive feel longer than it was, and 5 hours is a long time to drive to begin with. So it was just kind of a lot, which is sad. I do have the second book in the series as well, but this might be a series where we're reading our physical TBR and we unhaul this and we unhaul the second book. Sorry for the sad news. We tried to squeeze in another physical TBR book, but I knew I wasn't going to win them all. I knew that series was kind of a gamble when I bought it, but it sounded really good. I did read Warbreaker and had like a pretty good time with that one, so it was worth attempting. Hello besties, it has been a long time since I've updated this vlog. Not even, it's been like a weekend because I filmed a different vlog over the weekend, but I got my hair done, different person. I need to update you on Fourth Wing because I think the last clip I showed you was chapter 2 and I have finished this. It was a reread. I will leave I think I mentioned this, the first vlog where I read this for the first time, I will leave link down below. Love this book so much. The second time around, I feel like because I read this recently, sort of, and it was one of those books that actually stuck in my brain, like I remembered a lot of these details, I ended up skimming the first maybe half because a lot of that I already knew. It was like so well ingrained in my brain for some reason. I don't even understand. There's some books that I'm like, I read that yesterday, couldn't tell you a damn thing that happened in it. This, I'm like, I can tell you every detail. I did end up reading the end of it like a little bit more closely. I think for Iron Flame, my goal will be to get the audiobook because I think that, especially with rereads, you don't have to be like fully 100% locked in. You can be like 75 to 80% locked in and still like have a good idea of what's going on. But it's so nice to get that refresh. That was Fourth Wing for me. I don't have any like, no like big thoughts, or I guess no, let me just reiterate because I need to reiterate my hate for these people. I literally hate Jack with my whole entire heart and soul. Like the way in the beginning, he just comes out the gate swinging, meaning like he comes out the gate with the absolute hate for Violet, and like it comes out of nowhere. Like, does he just think that he's a big shot, like walking across this parapet when she is this is in the very beginning, so like no spoilers, she's like walking across the parapet being very careful, like terrified for her life, it's raining, there's wind, all of these things, and she's just like so scared. And then Jack just comes up and he's like, I'm coming after you, and she's like, he's stomping off. I'm like, who does this man think he is? I literally don't understand. So there's that. I also forgot that we meet Xaden literally in chapter 1. Immediately Violet is like swooning over him and I'm like, as you freaking should, bestie, as you freaking should. That is a man. That is a man in all capital letters. Like, we love it. We love it here. The other big takeaway is I didn't like Dane the first time around. I don't like Dane this time around. I'm over him. I'm just over him. I don't like him. I just don't like him. I'm a little more nervy going into my reread for Iron Flame because I really did not have a good experience with Iron Flame the first time around. Like, 2-star for maybe 90% of the book, and then the last 10% is what kind of like salvaged it for me. But I do think it's worth doing because then we'll be like completely refreshed for the third book. And Rebecca Yarros has dropped hints. There's a big plot twist that happens at the end of the second book, and she has said that she's dropped Easter eggs all around these books for the big plot reveals. That's what I'm curious to reread, and hopefully it goes a little bit better than the first time. If I'm like still really hating it and it's a book that I've already read for Iron Flame, not Fourth Wing. I'm not gonna hold this up anymore. I'm not talking about Fourth Wing. For Iron Flame, like if I'm really hating it, I probably like I just won't finish my reread of it, but I'm a little nerve for that one. We are 62 pages into Flame and Sparrow, and I wanted to do a little bit of an update now that I have my bearings with the writing. Also, I forget if I've done a summary yet, so I will quickly talk about a summary. But first, thoughts and impressions. I mean, I'm familiar with S.M. Gaither's writing, and I just think that it reads so quickly. Like, if I hadn't seen the size of this book and I just went into it on my Kindle, I feel like I wouldn't think it was 660 pages. That sounds so crazy saying it out loud. We have what kind of seems like a similar setup to her other series, the Shadows and Crowns series. We meet up with this gang of like outcasts slash misfits. Our main character is Karis. On the eve of her 20th birthday, she woke up to the sight of a divine creature dying outside of her home. 2 weeks later, her sister disappeared, leaving nothing but a trail of blood in her wake, and she is convinced that the gods are responsible for the disappearance slash death of her sisters. Karis is Fae, and in this world, the Fae are really targeted by the gods. Basically, the Fae had this incredible power. The gods were sort of threatened by them, and so they have punished them. They've taken away a lot of their magic. They've cursed them with some beastly characteristics, and everybody has different characteristics. So Karis, for example, has claws that she's able to have out or retract back in, which just sounds so cool. Like, is she Catwoman? I need to know more. So she spent the past 5 years plotting her revenge with her little gang of cutthroat, like-minded rebels. So when Draven, one of the world's most powerful deities, descends upon her kingdom in search of humans worthy of serving him, Karis takes that as her opportunity to infiltrate the gods, infiltrate this kingdom, get close to them in order to hurt them and then ultimately kill them, especially Draven. But I think she's just like out for blood in general because she wants to get revenge for her people. It's a very interesting dynamic that the Fae have been like punished in this way. They talk about the humans as being the Fae's replacement. The gods were so annoyed by the Fae, or like felt threatened by them, they took away all their powers, blah blah blah, and then they brought the humans in as their replacement because the humans worship the gods, they love the gods, they build temples for them, all of these things that the Fae obviously don't do because the Fae hate the gods at this point with how much they've been like reprimanded almost. And the humans also take it upon themselves to slaughter and just kill the Fae any chance that they get. So they really are a persecuted people in this book. I think the first 60 pages that I've read, there's a lot of recap in this, but it's setting the scene. It's a lot of that world building. But because I read Shadows and Crowns, I did already know a lot of that setup. I think that setup like this would have been helpful in Shadows and Crowns. Obviously this is a prequel series, so like it gives you a little bit more of that depth, but Shadows and Crowns, we actually didn't have a lot of info dumping, world building, stuff like that. It was much more gradual, which I appreciated, because this, I felt like the beginning, I already knew most of it, so it wasn't super helpful, and then it was very info dumpy and not in the best, most like woven in way. It was really just a lot of explanation up front, which can be good because it can ground you into the story. I definitely feel like refreshed from having read Shadows and Crowns quite a while ago now, like a couple months at least. So I'm ready to actually get into the story. I don't know, I have a good amount of time to read today, so I would like to get a good portion of the way into this book. We'll see how much we can do. I don't think I'm going to finish this in this vlog, but let's get as far as we can, and I will continue to update as I go. Hello besties. We're gonna do a little final check-in for Flame and Sparrow. Not that we have finished her by any means, but we are on page 150, chapter 14. So we are here. We made a good chunk. I am really enjoying it. I think once you get past the world building, in the first 60 pages, the plot does really start to pick up. Things move very quickly. I'm very interested in where this is going. It just has that more serious tone to it because there's so much conflict between the people. Also, I misspoke. I forget if I've corrected myself already, but I don't think I have. Our main character, Karis, is an elf. She's not fae. They're similar in my mind because she has pointed ears. They did have magic, like all of that stuff, but they're technically elves. We, I think, have met the love interest, but he's also the enemy. We've met the flame god, Draven, who's one of the most powerful deities. And we've only really skimmed the surface with him and their relationship because things are gonna move slowly. I can already tell in this book. So I feel like if you like a slow burn, this will probably be for you. That's just my assumption. I'm not positive on that. But with how the plot is proceeding, it feels like we're being built up with Karis, her motivations. She has so much anger in her that it seems like we need to let that either settle a little bit or like deal with some of those feelings before it's gonna get romantic. I just, like I mentioned, it's a little bit more serious and I want something silly goofy, so I'm about to start a 24-hour readathon of cowboy romance for this weekend. And so we're going to end this physical TBR vlog here. I hope that you enjoyed, friends. Make sure to go visit the link in my description box for Ana Luisa. Again, they're having a massive sale. It's gonna be perfect to kick off your Christmas shopping with some really cute pieces, either for yourself or a loved one. Linked below. Make sure to give it a click and just look through. Sometimes scrolling through is really fun. We read a lot in this vlog. We really made a good dent in the physical TBR. We only have a handful of books left. The TBR cart is looking empty, which makes me very excited because for 2025, we're going to refill her. I can't wait. Thank you so much for watching. If you made it this far, please leave a little, I won't call it a sparrow, but like a little bird emoji in the comments down below to let me know that you were here. I will catch you in the comments and I will see you in my next one, friends. Toodles.